This conference
Your
will now
screen.
be recorded.
Yeah. So,
Abhishek, I can't see your screen.
hey, Nagaraju, can you see?
Yeah, I can.
Pawan.
Let me go close and log back in.
Okay. By that time, I'll be speaking to Nagaraj.
Okay.
Inkem Nagaraj. Oh, sorry, we are on recording. I'll mute it.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. You can see the screen where it is having IA is equal to iter of A, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Iterator is nothing but a looping through of a particular set of element or a string or something, wherein Python is doing internally, where we don't see it practically. When you write a for loop or a while loop and pass it through the counter or an end of a list element or a length range, it is automatically doing it, but it is not making you see it. Okay. And when you run through a for loop, automatically it will run through the every element and it will print you, right? So if you recall, if you recall, list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. For I in L of print I, correct? So when you run, it is giving you the entire output, right? So think of a list element wherein it is having some 1000 elements in that Excel sheet with a million records or a 65,000 record. So if you parse through that element, what will happen to your notebook or a Python program wherein you are passing through every element every time? So when you are running this, no, what is happening? It is going through the entire list, parsing through the every element each and every time you are doing some operation, correct? But can we do something wherein we can parse only for the first element for the first time when you parse, and when you want it should go to the, when you want only it should go to the second element, when you want only it should go to the third element, when you want only it should go to the fourth element. So can you do something like that instead of parsing through the entire list at a one single go? Can you do that? So that was my question. So did you understand my question first of all?
So basically, we are controlling the iterator. When should when should it should go to the next element?
Okay, wonderful. So that is what my point is. So because see, the impact or the usage of the memory every time you pass through a for loop is huge. See, this is having only 4 elements, but the practicality is like if you're having a sheet, you're passing through every element and you're doing operation, obviously it will take a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
So that is why there is a advanced method of iterators which are available in Python, which will help you out to pass to the next element only when you tell Python to go to next element. Okay. So this is all basic. IA is equal to iter of A, IA, then this is a list object. This all is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. So when you write for item in 1, 2, 3, 4 print item, it will give you 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how does this one work? Just go here. For item in 1, 2, 3, 4 print item, it is giving you all the elements. Just now I showed you. My list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. You store this into one iter function. Call this my list. Now this it is stored at so and so memory location. This is a list iterator. Okay. When you write next of it, okay, it will go to the first element. I just ran it, so let me run it one more time. Next of it, first time it will return you 1. Second time you run it 2. Third time 3. Fourth time 4. Fifth time, that's it. I don't have any elements. I'm stopping the iteration. So this iter function will help you yield the next element until the last element of that list is reached, or a tuple is reached, or a string is reached. So it doesn't give you the entire info at one shot. See, it doesn't give you the entire info at one shot. You're
So,
okay?
so the practical application would be we would be writing some logic, and then if that logic is true, we have to choose the next state.
Correct. Or else you apply some multiplication over it. Instead of doing it on the element every time, suppose let's try it out. I'll write it into 2. Just a little. Okay, let me do it here. It is equal to iter of my list into multiplying a list with the element 2. Okay, okay, 1 second. I want to use iter only. I don't want to use that. Yes. Okay, I got it.
మనవాడికి సేల్స్ ఆర్డర్ సేల్స్ ఇన్వాయిస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్
Okay, I got it. See, when you do this function, no, suppose this is one column of an Excel sheet, this is other column of an Excel sheet, okay?
Okay.
Wherein you think of a practical situation, you are having 6 columns. First column is math, second column is physics, like that you have 6 different subjects. And to get the total of that column, you have to do the addition of the 6 different columns into the 7th column, okay? In an Excel
Okay.
sheet. And you have some 100 students in the class.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of this multiplication, you would have been having addition. Okay.
Okay.
Is that okay? And after doing the addition, you need to calculate the percentage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have to do the percentage, you have to apply on the 8th column whatever total marks they got. It should be divided by the maximum marks.
Yeah.
And you should apply multiplication of 100. So you will have two functions, right? 7th column you will have one addition function, and the 8th column you will have that multiplication and into divided by maximum marks function. Correct? Practically. Can you imagine that whatever I'm saying?
Yeah. So basically, we are
So
calculating a student's percentage, his total marks, and his percentage.
correct. So if you are doing like this, you are having 2 columns or 6 columns. You are doing one operation on 7th column and you are doing one more operation on the 8th column, right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
So in that situation, 1 second, let me remove this shit. So like this, you can apply. Okay, there is one function. Simply, I'm having 2 columns now. I want to multiply every element, the first element with the first element of the 2 lists. Okay, 1 into 2, 2 into 3, 3 into 4, 4 into 5. So the practical student example, but it is more simpler form. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I doing? I have written one function, and there is called a map function. Previously it was IMAP in Python 2, but they have changed it to map in Python 3. Okay. What am I doing? I am passing the 2 columns and I'm passing the function that I want to apply on these 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
after I do this, I'm storing it into a list variable. I'm storing this entire into a list. I'm converting it into a list.
Okay.
So when I run this, it will give you the entire records. Sorry. Why? Okay, sorry. Remove this list. Okay, this entirely it is going into map. It is going into one location. Then what am I doing? I'm storing it into a list. I am using iter on top of it. When I do this, 1 second, boss. Let me restart my kernel. It is throwing up errors. Just try and it is throwing errors. Okay. Now, when I run like this, you are getting the entire result of 2, 6, 12, 20. So when you do it for 100 students, it will display it you for 100 students directly, right? Agreed?
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So instead of this, can I pass an iter on this and store this operation into that? So when I pass a iter on this list operation and store it into one variable called list1, assume, and I run it. So if I apply next on list1, first it will display the first element result. Okay. And second, it will display the second, sorry. list one only. Second, it will display the second element result. Third, it will display 12. Fourth, it will display 20. Like that, it will go until the last.
So we can perform the next operation only when we put iter function to the list, right?
Correct. When you do iter only, then only you can do a next. If not, you cannot do.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of parsing through the entire list at one shot, if you can pass it in a step by step, call it whenever it is required only. Okay. You dictate the terms when to iter to the which element.
Can we jump between?
No, that is not possible. You have to jump one by one only.
Okay.
Okay. So that is how the iterators are used. So if you can see, okay, this is a string example. If you directly want to do it, then for e in string, then print e and end. We are ending with this one. If you want to store the string into iter and call next. Okay. And let's see. This was this Python first one. Okay. Next, when I stored string into this iter function, when I called it, it said f is the first element, o is the next element, r is the next element, and then for the list of the elements, I wrote it as list of it. So after this, I did not use next. Understood or any question?
No, understood.
Okay.
So small down. So if we scroll up, so once we put next to it, right, it forgets that element. It never brings back that element.
Yeah, it will iterate
through
and it will go to the next element directly.
Okay, then it will never come back to the previous element at all.
Correct. So you can do one thing. You can write a1 is equal to first one, a2. Suppose student name is a1, a2, a3. You can store it like this, and you can run this next operation. And whenever a student comes, you can tell him, okay, print of a1, your result is so and so. You got this much of percentage.
Okay.
Okay. Or else, see, think about a report card when you are going to school. When we were young, they'll call you roll number wise, right? Or else grade wise.
Yeah.
So they'll call you first student, this is the mark. So you can write the entire for loop using the functions. Okay, first you run the next it function. His name will come. You will call that student. Okay, your marks are so and so. That's it. It will go in a sequential order.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the example. So why a next is useful? Any answer that you can give me? Why not? See, this doesn't make much of a difference. If you are having a for loop, obviously your purpose is getting served, right? But why a next? Yeah. What happened, man? No answer.
So I think in for loop, right, we cannot control it. It's just loops. It gives you all the elements at a single time, right?
Single shot. See, if you are doing some operation, as I told you, see the memory occupied for this for every time, and for this one, it is pretty controllable, right? The memory is pretty less. It doesn't pass through every element every time. It passes through all the elements at one shot.
Yeah.
These two are same. What you did here, what you did is same.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
in the for loop we cannot control the iteration, but in next
function you can do.
Yeah.
So here memory is one shot. It will take everything. Here one element one shot.
Okay.
Okay. If you want to do even function, even class, you parse a list of elements and you want only even numbers to get out of it, how can you do it? So this is even class. You remember self init variables?
Yeah.
I'll ask you question. Okay. What is
Initiation
this?
self.
What is this even?
Which one?
This even.
Class name, right?
Okay. I was asking you basic questions, basics of Python.
Okay.
No? Okay.
Okay.
What is this self?
Self is something which joins to that particular class.
Is mandatory.
Okay. So this self, this self, this self, are they same or different?
Each function has its own self. Yeah, same.
Yeah, all the self just basically links to the class, right?
Correct. So, but this self, it is a connector between this one, this one, this one. If you don't write this self, no, here this function is out of this class. It will not work.
Yeah.
So this self acts as a connector between all the functions and the variables within the class, and it will connect to this class. Okay.
Yeah.
What is this one?
Variable.
Okay. Self data is equal to data. What is this?
Basically, we are calling that variable. Like assigning that variable. Like we are telling this.
Yeah.
Data is equal. Yeah, assigning that variable.
What is the difference between this self.data is equal to data and self.index is equal to 0?
So we are assigning data is equals to data, that is assigning that variable, index equal to 0.
Data of 0.
Is the hard code.
Okay.
You're starting index with 0. This is a variable.
Okay.
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 Then one more function, you are writing iter function. Just now, the previous example we saw, we are writing iter function and we are passing self so that we can make the connection later. Okay. Next, you are writing your customized next function. Okay.
Okay.
Next, you are doing if self.index is greater than or equal to length of self.data. So self.index is actually 0.
Yeah.
Is greater than or equal to length of self.data. So until it reaches the value 0.
Okay.
Okay. Raise stop iteration. If it reaches 0, stop the iteration.
Okay.
This is the if condition. Then you came out of the if condition. You wrote some variable ret is equal to self.data of self.index. Okay. Self.data of self.index ante this is suppose a list element, list of 0, list of 1, list of 2, list of 3, something like that. Understood? So that you can get every element of the list.
Okay.
And then for every index you are iterating the index by 2 because you want even numbers. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, something like that. Then you are returning whatever your function is. Okay.
Okay.
Then when you go over here,
so where did we use iter over there?
Here, this is just a call. Within the class, you are just giving a call. But you are calling iter here. There is a from even import function. Even function is there already in Python. So even list is equal to even of range of 0.
Okay.
Range of 0 to 10. On that you are applying our class even class. This one. Okay.
Okay.
Then you are writing iter of this variable. Okay.
Okay.
First it will tell you where it is stored.
Okay.
And then when you write for item in even of list, print item, it will give you this.
Okay.
Instead of this, you could have said next of this even list. Then it would have given you 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. So Okay, that was iterator, but there is something called as yield in generator. Okay, what is this yield? We'll see simply. Okay, suppose you write a even function for I in range of 0 of length of data, comma 2, you are yielding data of I. Let's pass this. I think the Python 2, Python 3 issue will come, but it's okay. Function object is not a trouble. Like, check. Okay. So let me restart my kernel so that you will understand better. Restart clear output. Okay. Okay. So for I in even of range of 0 to 10, if you write print of I, it will say what is even, I don't know. Okay. But where did you define even? Even is here. Even
Yeah.
of data, you are passing one data that was range of 0 to 10. For I in range of 0 to length of data. Length of data is how much is there in this 11
9.
elements or 10 elements? 10 elements, no? 0 to 9.
Okay, 10. Yeah.
10 elements, but jump by 2. Jump by
Yeah.
2. So then instead of writing print or return, you are telling yield of data of I. Data means this range, I is every element. Okay. When you run this, afterwards you run this, your answer is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. This yield helps you out in generating data at a one single shot. See, practically you are seeing example like print of data, but internally what will yield do? No, it will go one element by one element. So this operation is done, 0 element is done first, then only it will go to the second, 4, 6, 8. It is not like same of like this one, print of element, print element. Okay, 1 second, I'll tell you. Yield versus return in Python you can do. Some బొమ్మ ఉంది ఇక్కడ. Okay, when you are defining a generator, yield is used. The return statement causes a function to exit. Okay, it replaces the return value of a function to suspend its execution without destroying the local variable. It terminates the execution of a function and destroys all the local variable. To yield statement is used when the generator returns an intermediate result to the caller. The return statement is used when the function is ready to send a value back to its caller. అర్థమైందా కాలేదా? సగం ఓకే లెట్స్ సీ వన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ప్రాక్టికల్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వస్తే బాగుంది ఒక నిమిషం okay this one sound better okay let's use this example okay now let's write this in our notebook hopefully it will work okay f of gen square so in for I in the range of n yield I square ఇది ఒక ఫంక్షన్ for I in see if you see directly if I would have written for I in I want to calculate this thing L is equal to 1 2 3 4 and for I in L print I square okay this should be length of L I is equal to 0 and then I is equal to I plus 1 did I do any mistake int object assembly for I in length of L print I square what mistake am I doing for I in L okay for I in L print I square so here what is happening directly one shot it is giving you the result right
Yeah.
but here when I wrote this function and I used yield it was storing every element and it is returning the value return will destroy a function return's motive is to destroy the function and give you the last element okay whatever is stored but yield will give you the result one step at time like first element would be 0 second element would be 1 third element would be 4 fourth element would be 5 so this would be something like a next yield is somewhere related to a next but return is at the end point return returns one value and clears the state of the variable yield returns a value and saves the position so this is the difference between a yield and a return did you understand or any confusion
అర్థమైనట్టే ఉంది.
Okay, so see, I have to get you one practical example for generator and one for iterator, okay, with yield. That is
Okay.
pending from my side. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
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 Anything other than that that I promised before that I'll tell you, if I recall.
Nothing I remember.
Nothing, no. Okay, so let's see 1 second what all topics we are having still. We are yet to go. Okay, I remember one thing. Lambda functions, I told you. Yeah, lambda functions was pending. Exceptions we covered. File handling we covered. Polymorphism classes is over. Generator, iterator. Okay, then data structures, advanced data structures. Okay, we will see. Okay, chalo guys, we'll meet up tomorrow then. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Okay. You too.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye. Bye Nagaraj, bye Pawan.
Bye.